There we go.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Technology, man.
We're rolling now.
I know, I've never used this before.
All right, cool. How you doing?
Nice. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, it's just the middle of
Good.
afternoon here. We're just chilling. Adam
Yeah.
Adam just did his first snap.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, he just did his
very
first
nice.
snap. I'll post that up later. He did that was the nail that I bent for the tutorial last night for the Beyond the Bend podcast, the vertical.
Oh, sweet.
That was 6 7/16 by 1/4 inch. So pretty good start for his first snap. Yeah. He's like,
I got those
on the table.
Very nice.
You cut out there your audio a little bit.
Oh, I was saying, get those forearms nice and pumped up then, yeah?
That's right. I just saw it laying on the table.
Yeah.
Hey, can I snap this? He's like, sure, what the heck?
Right? Yeah, sweet. That's great.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a brew pub owner, strength and grip enthusiast. I just love like anything kind of out of the box, artisanal, anything like that. And like the strength and fitness stuff and staying fit helps me my mental game as well. I tend to be a very high strung kind of A personality guy, so the doing a little bit of extra activity helps me chill out, a little bit.
Nice. I saw on
Yeah.
you posted the other day something about arm wrestle the brewmaster for like a discount. How many people actually beat you?
Quite a few. I get a lot of people that come in and you'll get some guys that are we're a National Guardsman town, one of the biggest bases in the country. So a lot of those guys are really interested, and a lot of those guys I'll end up beating. I had a guy last year come in, and he was quite a bit older, but he ends up I couldn't move the guy or do anything with him. And it turns out that he was like a national champion in the 90s, and he refs all the state competitions. And he's, then I reckon, you recognize him and you're like, oh yeah, of course you're killing me here, so,
Awesome.
but I love it. It's fun to get involved with the customers in that way, whether, and, a lot of ladies will do it too, as a joke, or you'll get women like young girls battling their moms and stuff, it's just, it adds another element to the bar, kind of that old school, over the top vibe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Actually, before COVID, I had Captains of Crush Grippers in there for discounts on beer.
Oh,
So if you could close the one, you got like 50 cents off. You close the 1.5, you got 75. You close the 2, you got like $1 off your first beer when you come in, and you could do it every time you came in. And then we were getting a list together so I could do like a little names on the wall or something like that. Just something fun to get people involved, and it's still my style
some cheap
and
beers.
fun.
So if we could close the number 3, do we get a free beer?
Oh man, I think I would give somebody a free beer if they could close a number 3 for sure.
Oh,
For sure.
We both will be able to in a month.
Yeah, we're close. We're really close.
Get over to Michigan. I got a free beer for you when you're here. I'd have a free beer for you when you're here anyway.
That's awesome.
Anybody who comes up and wants to talk grip or arm wrestling with me gets a free beer.
Awesome.
I think that's a fair trade.
Absolutely.
Gives me something to do while I'm at work, and I like to BS. So it's a good time.
Yeah, I bet you met some monsters doing that arm wrestling thing, man. That's really cool. Yeah, that's
The
a national champ. That must have been awesome just to hook up with him. That's crazy.
Just to feel like you could tell by his hand anyway, like before just shaking his hand, you could really tell how strong this guy was. But just to grip up with him was just unbelievable, and some of these, it seems like all the guys that I would really want to arm wrestle come in later on when I'm not there. Everyone's like, oh, there were like 5 people here ready to arm wrestle you, while I'm bored cleaning tanks in the morning, you know, when I could really use a good, you know, get out in the lobby and arm wrestle somebody. That's when no one shows up. You know, with my wife and I running the business, I typically work and do my stuff in the morning. It's a little bit easier for me. And then we trade our son, you know, so she's babysitting him in the morning. I do evening and night, and then she manages the bar and does all the, you know, she's the real like engine of the bar as far as that goes. She runs the bar, and I'm just like hide in the brewing room, you know, and do my stuff in there. But yeah, there's been some big dudes who have definitely tore me apart on that arm wrestling table.
That's awesome. So did you choose the Dead Bear shirt specifically today?
I just usually always wearing a Dead Bear shirt, you know. I'm out in the garage, so I'm not getting interrupted all the time, and it's just like a touch chilly out here. It was a pretty nice day, you know, like we're losing the snow right now, but I'm sure it's just a matter of time before it snows again. It's Michigan.
Yeah. I was gonna say nice. It must be about 35 degrees there.
Right. It's actually been like in the 60s the last couple of days. It's been beautiful.
Wow. Oh wow.
Like I was on today, we had to take down we put up a fence for the snowmobile trail that goes through town. So we were taking that down all day. So that was like a nice, you know, get outside kind of day. I went out and did some Indian clubs in the driveway while the little dude rode around on the Power Wheel.
Nice.
You know, getting that stuff in. So it's nice. I get it in when I can. I've got the grill outside, so it's very nice.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So tell us what motivates you to compete, or do you compete in strength sports at all, and certs or anything like that?
So I've been doing last spring when we got shut down and everything, I found Instagram and I found, you know, like John Oka and some of his crazy implements that he has certs for. I do some of those. Some of the grab hold stuff. I've been doing those card tearing certifications. But of course I hurt my card tearing's been fun, but I hurt my hand last month right before I got my package from Anton. So and I was feeling in my mind better than I actually was doing. So I got like halfway through a 72 card deck and was like, you know, instead of harming myself even further, let's call it quits for a while, take a little break. So I just started bending again in the last couple of weeks and started tearing cards again. So I'm hopefully in the next month or two, I'll get another package from him and I'll try to do the 72 and 81 decks of cards, you know, and I've done them before. So as long as I get back to that point that I was at in early February before I hurt myself, I should be there. So, but I love doing all this stuff. It's really fun, like to just see. I like on Instagram that there's this small community of people who really, you know, seem to care about what each other are doing, you know, and the progression that everyone's achieving, you know, and it's just nice to base yourself off of that. And some of the elite guys are doing some of this stuff too. So to me, if I'm like within, you know, 15, 20 pounds of some of these, you know, world-class guys, elite guys, you know, I'm flying high and feeling good about where I'm at in my training, especially with, you know, all the stuff that I do in my personal life on top of it. You know, this is a great outlet and a great energy release. But I think also to have those goals and do some of these certs, and I really like these crazy implements, you know, that like John makes or that Grab Hold does that are a little more off the wall. I have smaller hands, you know, so sometimes the pinch lifts and stuff like that are a little easier for me to wrap around, you know, and get some higher number.
Potatoes.
Yeah, you'll like the potatoes. They're designed to make the guys with the bigger hands really have trouble.
Yeah, cool. It looks cool. I saw those. I saw you guys, I think through either Joy Brown or Mike Buck's Instagram when they were going to do their thing. And I was like, that potato looks really interesting. And then I got into these podcasts and I listened to them at work while I'm brewing. And I was like, oh man, I want to chat with these guys, you know?
Well, thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're just having fun. So
Yeah.
we really realized how big the community is on Instagram, and that's how we met so many awesome people. So we agree 100%. Just amazing what the community is, and all these guys that we get to meet and have come over and hang out with us, and just completely changed our grip training and everything alone.
Right. Well, for me, I'm alone here, so like it kind of connects me with some lifting buddies. When I was in high school, as a high school athlete, I did a lot more lifting in groups, things like that. Got into my 20s and did a lot more just drinking in groups instead of and things like that. Then as I got my house in my late 20s, I got my weights in here and started, I really like collecting all this stuff too, so collecting iron or collecting the block, the block weights and getting that stuff in here is always fun. So yeah, it's nice to kind of almost like you have lifting buddies and lifting partners, even though they're not in here with you, you got the ability to throw something up and you get some people cheering you on, so it's gives you that extra boost instead of you're just, it's usually me and my 3-year-old in here lifting weights. I mean, he's telling me I'm strong all the time, but I don't think he's very objective.
Well, wait till he gets to become 6 and 9, and then they start telling you the opposite. So.
Yeah, past the hero point, right? Where you're, come on, Dad.
I was watching Black John TV, and he was juggling the blobs, Dad.
My daughter's like, "What? I could carry a rock too. Watch, Dad. That ain't nothing. Your rock weighs 17 pounds or something. What the 10 pounds? What are you doing? What do you mean? Here, carry this thing."
Yeah, I liked your comment about shooting for a certain percentage of the elite guys. I look at them and I think like, well, if I was 90% there, like I'd be super proud of myself. So yeah, I think that's a way to look at it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, not necessarily being, it's not that I'm not shooting for those numbers, but like you said, if you're 90% there, that's something to be happy about because you're still at least like expert level, professional level, whatever you want to say. You can pull out some like, short steel or some cards and wow some people who don't know anything about it, that's for sure. And so that it makes it fun, especially, like I keep going back to seeing this community of people who really just enjoy something that's unorthodox, and a little bit out of the box, it's fun. Well, and you really see, like, especially when I had the grippers at the bar, you see people who you never would have known had that kind of grip strength or whatever, especially with, some of the farmers and stuff that are local.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll just take like, number 2 and they're like, "Oh, this is as strong as you got." And you're like, I had to train to get that. Like, what are you talking about?
You don't even know how to
some of the guys. Right. They're not even holding it right, and they're just closing it like nothing. Or you get some of the guys that look just outrageously jacked, and those are always the fun guys to be like, come up, close it for them, and go, "This isn't impossible. You do it," So it's fun both ways, Then you get those guys interested in it, and they want to get better and better at it too. So it makes it fun.
Yeah, for sure. We get a lot of the obstacle course and like Spartan type guys here that do all the implements where they swing on them, and they do all that crazy stuff. Man, some of those guys come over here and just put us to shame in grip, and they've never even heard of grip sport before, and that's really cool to see.
Right.
Yeah,
that's really cool. But they're using their hands for everything, Exactly. So swinging around. Climbers tend to be really good at it.
Oh yeah.
I think that's where some of these guys that are in the guards end up being really good at it. Is they're rope climbing a lot. They're doing obstacles and stuff. If they're the guys that are doing a lot of PT, I don't know. It just depends on what times, what's going on at the time, whether they're sitting around. I would imagine, or if they're getting set.
My brother-in-law actually turned out to be really good at grip, and he never gripped anything before. He's just a SWAT officer and shot guns his whole life and everything. And we're surprised at how damn strong his grip was. And he's like, "I don't even know what I'm doing."
Right. I got a buddy that's got like alien fingers, just like ultra long, crazy hands. And he does like maintenance work and stuff like that. he can grab a half of a 80-pound York, like a block weight, and pick it up like nothing.
That's insane.
And or any of these, like a baby inch, anything like that. I mean, he can touch his thumb to his middle finger like nothing, and he can just lift darn near anything. You know, it's like, well, thanks, man, for making me feel bad about myself. You know, comes over and he's like, oh, this is what you're doing all the training for?
You don't happen to have a deck of cards just laying around, do you, that you can show us how to tear?
Yeah, actually, I do. I'm real close to my locker, so I can run and be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. You have some deck over there?
Oh no, I don't want to tear it. I just want to see how the hell he does it, and then watch it 10 times.
Okay.
All right. So I got it's a casino deck. I like to buy like boxes of these. This is an Aristocrat deck. Sometimes they're made by different companies. You know, it's just typically you want something, you know, close to a bicycle deck or whatever, you know, and these don't cut the hole in the middle, which I like. But so when I'm ripping them, I used to do it like a double hand kind of rip like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that it puts my wrists in a spot that I don't like. So when you grip it, you do this pinch and you want to get your ring finger on the corner right here. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to make a hard point in the deck, right? So it's like when you're ripping, when you look at one, you want it to be like an S, right? You see that like bend in there? Yeah. And when you get to that hard point, that's where it's going to tear.
So it's like the phone book principle.
It's basically the same thing. You want to get that one side up and the other side down on a you know, one edge, you know, so you want that edge to be right there. And over time, you'll start to build a callus on the side of your finger, and you'll start to callus the webbing here. And that's going to help you, you know, so you don't feel as much pain when you're doing it. You know, that's a lot of times with this stuff, what stops you, you know, is your brain's going, ow, that hurts or whatever, you know. So you get it like that, you get that nice S bend, and that having that corner down with your ring finger helps keep that stable in your hand. And then you just give it a start, and there we go. You know, and then once you get that first couple rip, a lot of people get their other finger in there, get another one going, and then I usually start pulling them apart. Come on now. Start pulling them apart with the other hand, doing a little rip like that. Some of the guys just, you know, have that really quick, like Adam Glass and those guys just, you know, do it effortlessly. For me, it depends on how much work I've been doing in the last couple of days and stuff. I've been trying, you know, to get back up to I almost bent the red nail in February, and that's what I hurt myself on. In trying to get back there, I've been doing a lot of lever work and stuff with sledgehammers. Today I was out when I was doing the Indian club work. I have a homemade mace that I was doing some levers with and stuff. So for me, it all depends on, you know, when I'm really tearing cards really good. You know, typically I don't miss decks. Occasionally I miss like a quartering a deck. But it all depends on what kind of work I'm doing, or, you know, like with those card tearing certifications, I thought my hand was mildly hurt. And then I started, you know, it's like a long video, you know, you got to open the box and everything.
Yeah.
The minute I started tearing that first deck of cards, I was like, oh no, here we go. I think I'll get this one, but I don't think I'm going through that second deck, you know. And I'm sure that mentality is probably what partially helped me fail, but you know, it was just like a eye opener, like, oh no, it hurts way more than I thought it was gonna, like way more. So, but that's how I learned to tear them. I think I watched a video from, I think I recommended to you, Frank, the Chris Hercules video where he goes over it. And he has a couple of books that are one's for card tearing and one's for horseshoe bending. And I think they're way more expensive now than when I got them. They're small books, but they're like $40 a piece. But his videos on YouTube are also very, very good tutorial wise. Basically the same kind of thing that I went over right there. He also has a little more of like getting your elbow in and going across your body, having some of that stuff in your mind while you're doing that tear. But like watching you guys a few weeks ago, you're definitely strong enough, especially with the way you guys bend steel. It's just all in that technique. And once you figure that technique out, you'll be blown, you'll blow through
the past. Long time ago when I first got into grippers, obviously you can't do a phone. Obviously it was a long time ago. There are no more phone books.
Right.
But yeah, I had no idea that you were getting that same kind of S bend in the cards. So I wasn't doing that. I was just trying to power through the cards, and Adam was doing the same thing. We were just literally trying to just power through them. So that's a huge difference.
You could see in like when you were doing it, like that you have the like full on have the strength, like it was like, man, if they were just doing it like this or just like that, those little tweaks that make something. Yeah, that S bend is, I mean, really, if you're any paper, that tear, whether you're tearing your mail up or whatever, once you put it on that radius, and get that rip in it. And once the rip starts, that's one of the key things is once you feel that breakthrough, it's like, oh, here we go, and then you're going to continue that motion, that through motion. And some people just, use a thumb technique and rip that top right off, or some people, do what I tend to do is get it to a point where you can get your fingers in there and work it apart.
Yeah.
But it's something I love those interesting, like the things that you saw on TV when you were a kid, that you're like, man, if one day I just really want to do that. I used to always say college, I used to say the same thing about the phone books. I was like, man, I'm just going to keep trying to tear a phone book every day until I'm ready to do it. And then it later on became something that I was passionate in, with the cards and the short steel and stuff like that. And it's just something fun to do, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. When I realized I wasn't going to be 6'8" and 400 pounds, I realized that the strongman events that I was going to do were probably going to be focused on.
Right. Man,
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Being like a relatively average guy, I'm usually like, I'm 5'8". I tend to be around like, 185, and I could fluctuate anywhere between, 165 and 210. Hopefully I'm not on that 210 side, but I'm not a big guy, and I don't have those type of crazy expectations for myself that I might have had as like a young man watching, like Magnus Vermagnuson or some of these guys on World's Strongest Man as a kid, like Pujanowski and those guys. Like, man, there's no way that my frame could hold that. It's just not a possibility. But if I can, in my personal life, whether it be to protect my family or like, look good with my clothes off or whatever, be able to lift a couple plates, be able to squat a reasonable amount and to deadlift somewhere around, 400 pounds or so. That's where that's some goals that I can personally have just to be elevated as a human. It makes it much easier in my personal job where I can huck kegs around like nobody's business, or I'm lifting 55 pound bags of grain on a regular basis, and it's not hard for me. Whereas you get somebody in there or even stirring the mash in a 200 plus pound mash, that's a lot of wet grain to be pushing around basically with a canoe paddle, so to be able to have that extra strength to do those regular tasks that are part of my job that don't necessarily affect me as much as somebody else. Every now and again, I'll have somebody in my brewing room to help me out, and they quickly earn a different respect for what they necessarily thought it was once they do some of those harder things. It's like, you know, doing a power clean with a bag of grain over your head isn't like the most easy thing to do in the world, you know? So doing the extra lifting and stuff really, really helps in those practical real world purposes.
I actually worked at a bakery for a long time, so that just
yeah.
carrying 50 pounds of oats or, you know, 50-pound bags of sugar, and I'd carry like 2 at a time over there, and, you know, just be able to open 1, 2, and be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Go.
Yeah. It's kind of the work smarter, not harder, but you've already put the work in at home, you know, like you're working not harder because you're stronger, you know, which is better to me. You know, if I can do my job half as fast and not have to run back and forth or whatever, or if I can make my work day like partially a workout, you know. So sometimes when I'm you know, putting grain on the shelves, I've got to move like a pretty large accumulative amount of grain, you know. So it's like, hey, let's make this into a grip workout, and I'll just grab them with my fingertips, you know, or let's, you know, make it into something a little bit more. I a couple of years ago put a hangboard above the door to my walk-in cooler. So if I'm in between steps or anything like that, I can do like a little hangboard workout. I have some 6-pound sledgehammers in the brewing room that I can do lever work with while I'm in there. You know, it's just, where can I get it in? If I can't, if the little dude isn't going to let me, you know, go in the garage when I get home, you know, where can I, maybe I can get it in a little bit at work. Maybe I can get it in here or there. And that's where, like, it's, to me, it's easy to convey to somebody, like, you know, how they could do it in their personal life. You know, it's like that, what's an hour and a half is 6% of your day, you know, but 1 hour is 4%, you know. So if you look at it in those terms, like, yes, sometimes it's hard for us to compartmentalize and to do those things like 1, 2, 3, or we've all got a lot of stuff going on. But to me, if you look at, you know, people who capitalize on the, you know, making their day as like logistically comfortable as they possibly can while still getting as much work done as possibly can, you know, it's a good example, you know, to be like, well, if I can, you know, get my work day in, still figure out some way to train here and there, then still babysit my son at night and do this and do that, you know, it's definitely possible for your average any day person to get some type of physical activity in. And what that might be, like a 10-minute walk just here and there throughout the day. But people should be doing more. I tend to find that people that do more things like this tend to be a heck of a lot less depressed in their lives.
Absolutely.
You know,
I mean, I have 2 kids myself, and people think they need to spend a lot of time with their kids and it takes away from their workout, but we've added in where, you know, I just do a workout with my kids. Like, they love it. They have so much fun. They're like, oh yeah, hanging out with mom and dad, and we're doing, you know, activity, or we're at a playground. And even if take your kids to a playground, I see a lot of parents just sitting on the sides doing nothing. You know, I'm out there running around playing tag with all the kids, running around like a nutcase, and it's like, this is my cardio for the day, guys. Like,
yeah, we both actually have BMX bikes, which is just crazy. Other parents look at us like we're insane. We're out there on, you know, adult-sized BMX bikes, just jamming. He has a 22-inch BMX. I have a custom 20, and we're just, you know, jamming with the kids. And it's cool when you see another parent that does that too, you know, and they nod, like, yeah, man, you know what you're doing. You're doing it right.
Yeah. That's the thing with our generation, is we should be those kind of parents that still have, like, I still got my Diamondback BMX bike that I, you know, from when I was younger. I still ride that thing around. I got a couple skateboards. I got a longboard that I keep in the brewing room. Again, if there's any downtime, I'm doing something random. So, like, the staff will be out back smoking cigarettes, and I come whipping by on the longboard, you know, or, you know, just little things like that. That if you can be the cool, involved person, why not? You know, it's more fun for kids, in my opinion, to have the cool parents that, you know, get involved, have, and you know, we're like the Rad generation, right? You know, so we should, if we were watching Rad in the day, we should definitely be riding the BMX bikes with the kids now, you know.
Yeah, we even make people ride our little 10-inch mini BMX bikes in our medleys.
We got 10-inch.
Very nice.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
You can definitely do some jumps in your brew room with that thing. You got a 10-inch BMX bike.
Yeah, those mini ones.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. When there's nobody in the restaurant, every now and again, I'll take like the longboard out and do some things that I probably shouldn't, but you know,
but I mean, like
child at heart.
Like you're saying, being that cool parent, but I think on a serious note, your kids get accustomed to you being there and being able to trust you. And when it actually matters and they need to talk to you, they're going to come to you. And if you're,
I think so.
A lot more likely to do that. So.
Yeah, if you're absent, they're not necessarily going to be as prone. I think that's the thing too, is like when you can still hold those like values up of like, yeah, you can and can't do these things, and I'm still the in charge, and I'm going to guide you the right way. But at the same time, if you're a friend, moving forward when they're in the in those ages where they need to tell you something, or they're in their teens even, and they need to call you for something that's maybe even more serious,
exactly.
That they're probably going to be more likely to do that. And I find, most of the time when I'm working out my little dudes in here, and if you can find just something, it can be working out, he likes to lift grip implements and stuff, and they tend to know what to do with them before you even tell them. They're kind of self-evident, so
yeah.
If I get like a dumbbell ready for him, like something that's 10 pounds, or we got some smaller kettlebells, he'll do a similar lift to what you're doing, or this guy will even sit down on the bench, and if it's especially an incline, and he'll have these like little 2-pound dumbbells that he's doing incline presses with.
That's awesome.
And he's made me film them because he knows that I do the filming sometimes. So he's like, all right, take a picture of me, Dada. All right.
Yeah. I mean, my kids, they both stone carry, and they're like, we want a rock named after ourselves, and you better record it and put it on Insta. So
yeah, you got all those awesome names on them, so you got to have the kids for their own.
Absolutely.
That's sweet. Well, it'll make them want to carry them that much more too. If you
exactly
that getting them involved in those extracurricular activities is so much easier if you personalize it, or if you're doing it with them, or if they can lift a similar thing as you. I have some wall balls and medicine balls that are lighter, that are for him, and so we can do like run down, grab this and carry it back, and I'm carrying a sandbag, and he's got like a 6-pound wall ball, or something like that, you're still keeping that interest there. And I don't even think they really know half the time that they're working out, they're just playing, so
I like trying to tire flip race my daughter when she has like a 10-pound tire, and I have the 600-pound tire out. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be interesting. Let's see if I can even get this 6 or 7 times.
But it's probably a similar, weight distribution. They're so at that age, they're not like that strong yet, so I'm sure and they don't have any of the technique a lot of times, but it's cute too. It's so much fun to watch them do something that we love, and for them to be having fun doing it too, really makes me like, that's what, a lot of times when I'll get some of these fitness books and stuff, Brooks Cubic, I was getting a lot of his books, the guy that does dinosaur training. And every time I'd have him sign them for like me and the little dude. So then, because they're going to get passed on to him anyway, whether he likes it or not, he's getting them. So it'll have that much more nostalgia. Or he'll just be like, Dad, why'd you have this guy put my name in here?
Exactly.
Which will be fun too. I don't care. Either way, if he continues liking this stuff, great. If he wants to do something else, that's what I'm into too. I basically, as long as he can be passionate about something, that's what I like. So
Absolutely.
That's how I always was. It was like, hey, you either need 2 athletics or 2 extracurricular activities, or get a job. And that, to me, that's pretty good social building building those skills that you need.
Definitely kept me out of trouble playing sports and trying to make money.
Yeah.
And, at 12 months, all the neighborhoods and doing whatever,
Right. That's the way to be, like that way you're learning that team ethic, whether you're in the job or you're in the, in the sport, and the thing about too is like whether you're in an individual sport or you're in a team sport, you're still part of a team. Your individual effort still benefits the team in the meet, so whether you're doing wrestling, football, gymnastics, to me, they're all beneficial, and it could be chorus, the play, the musical, any of that stuff as well. I find that stuff to be just as beneficial to team skill building as sports tend to be. I was the kind of guy that liked all that stuff. So if I could be in it and it was extracurricular and it wasn't necessarily academic, that's how I was in.
Sometimes I think those stage performances are even more nerve-wracking, man, because people are really watching what you're doing at that point.
Well, and the blocking for stage stuff, because it's not just learning your lines, it's learning the blocking and where you got to walk center stage left, blah, blah, blah. That stuff's hard to remember, while you're trying to be look cool and potentially sing good or whatever you're doing, that stuff.
One mistake on the stage, everybody sees it. You make a mistake on the football field, nobody really notices most of the time.
Yeah, that one play, maybe. Right. No, yeah, everybody definitely sees it. Even the stage work, for the set building and that kind of stuff. That's team activity. The stage crew that's running the lights and making sure all that's working. I find that I think you're right. It probably is more nerve-wracking and harder because you got we got 3 chances to get this right, and every night's got to be perfect after we've worked on this for 2 months. So hopefully I did forensic play when I was in high school, where it was you build the set, do a play, and break down the set in 45 minutes. And it's a competition. And we did Oedipus Rex. And I happened to be Oedipus. And it's like me doing monologues for 45 minutes and insane blocking. And you're wearing these Greek masks where you can't see anything. And it was hard. And then you get critiqued afterwards and they tell you how big of a piece of shit you were. If you were. You really, and they have the lines in front of them, the judges do. So they're like, man, you really fucked up that line on, page 42.
You only got 3 words out of that paragraph, right?
Right. That 20-line monologue that you had there.
I was in high school and a strongman, and I still think the hardest thing was probably musical theater. I did that as well, and I was way more nervous about musical theater than going out and playing 3 different sports or weightlifting in the gym. And I'm like, I gotta do what?
Yeah, I never had a problem doing on my football team. I tended to be a leader. I'd be out there screaming at people, yelling. I played most sides of the ball. Both all the years that I was in. Track was something that I did for football. I love to do all that stuff. But I definitely think that musical theater was harder for sure.
Yeah.
I think too, we grow up learning so much about those sports, and you're in them for longer, like junior high, you're starting with football, you got all the teams for that. And maybe you did Pop Warner when you were in, elementary school or whatever, and so you have all this basis for, knowing and potentially you're even doing the same. You're in the same position, so I was in similar positions through most of my football career for sure. Boom, you pop into a play or into chorus or something and you're, they're throwing you all over the place. So it's just any of that kind of stuff I find to be great team building. I can tell as an employer who usually hasn't done anything in their childhood or in their school, I'm like, they're not as easy to teach. And they tend to just not understand that team effort, you know, and when you're running, especially running a restaurant or anything, that's a full team effort that starts in the back of the house and goes out to the front. If people aren't gelling or they're having a bad day, everybody's having a bad day, you know, so it's something you notice in people. It's something that I would have never thought of, you know, as a young person, that as a, you know, somebody in my 30s, that I would be noticing it as a, you know, a business owner and employer that, you know, I'm seeing, wow, this stuff that I did, you know, extracurricularly actually benefited me, you know, leaps and bounds in my, you know, post high school life, you know, so hopefully people keep pushing that kind of stuff, you know, that's something that I want to do, whether it be the
just tell them to watch 24 Hours to Hell and Back with Gordon Ramsay. They'll find out how much, you know, running a restaurant's a team effort. And those guys found out real quick if they weren't running, they're not going to like the result.
It's a rough business, man. I would love to get that guy in my restaurant one of these days. He'd probably just make me cry. You know, he would be yelling at me for all the stuff that other people are doing. And then I would try to make an excuse for why. And then he'd be like, this is your restaurant. I would love that.
Damn head chef, come on.
Yeah. I'm just masochistic like that. I just want to meet him and have him berate me, you know?
Beat you on the arm wrestling table and just
yeah. He looks like he works out a little bit. He might be able to take me, you know? He's been chopping for years.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
Best part, he's actually one of the nicest dudes too, outside of, you know, his TV shows and all that.
Right. When he's not trying to get people to like actually fix their stuff and they're being so resistant to it, he seems to be such a nice guy. And really, it seems too like he genuinely wants to help people, like on hotel hells and kitchen nightmares and stuff. It seems like he genuinely wants to help people. So, I mean, he might berate them, but he hangs out after they, you know, yell back at him. So
exactly,
does seem to be the case. But yeah, it's very cool, crazy how I'm seeing, you know, things like those, you know, things that are team building, you know, team skill building. In your early parts of life, how they affect people, you know, in the latter parts of life, and how they really make a better employee, you know. And it doesn't matter to me whether it be athletics or it be arts. You're getting that somewhere, you know. So now, that's not to say that I don't believe that we shouldn't all be doing some type of athletics or some type of physical activity, because that's basically why we're talking. I think that, you know, what you guys are doing as far as like, you know, pushing this forward and, you know, making this kind of information available for people, I think that's super, super important, because it's a lot of it, especially like grip sport and stuff like that. You kind of gotta get into that, like, it's a rabbit hole for sure, but once you find it, there's a ton of information there. And, you know, the more people chat like this, the more that information can kind of be out in the open, and it's easier to access for people, you know. I think I randomly, when I found out about grip sport, I was watching the Joe Rogan Experience in like 2017, and he was talking to somebody about captains of crushed grippers.
Okay.
And then through that, I just, you know, was like, oh, I was intrigued by that. And then I found out more about grip sport and its relation to, you know, like World's Strongest Man and some of these guys like Brian Shaw and things like that. And then I was like, oh man, I'm in, I'm hooked. And I believe that might be the same year that Juji Mufu and Tom started doing more of that, their grip stuff. So that kind of enticed me at the same time. We're like, oh, I've just found out about it. Now these guys are doing it again, or doing it. It gave me like it gave me more access to it, I guess, you know? So, me being someone who likes those out of the box, crazy kind of things, I was like, hey, here we go. This is something that I'm really intrigued by. I was building my garage gym. I started in 2015. My wife and I bought the house that we're currently in. And I got my weightlifting equipment that I'd had at my parents' house for, you know, like 10 years, you know? So, once I got that stuff, started with like a cheap squat rack, then sold that and got a better power rack. And you know, then it kind of just spiraled into what it is today. And I have this awesome workspace out in my garage. And there's another place where it really doesn't give me an excuse. You know, it's right here. If I can get my son out there and get him playing, or get us out there doing something, then I have the opportunity to lift. And whether it be I get in a full hour and a half, or I get out there and I get a half an hour in and I get just bench press done, at least, you know, you're out there, you're getting your blood pumping, you know, you're getting movement. You know, what do they say? A body in motion stays in motion, you know? So I tend to, and as I said earlier, it helps me mentally immensely. So, you know, it's just some place where I can tune out. You know, the weights are always, you know, the weights, you know, they're never going to be anything but, you know, 200 pounds is always 200 pounds, whether or not, you know, it doesn't matter. So they're always going to be consistent in that way, you know, and whether or not you're feeling it that day or not, you can always get something done. Some days I just do recovery work and I'll do a lot of Indian club stuff, or, you know, some light plate curls or something like that. And some days I started in January, I started another powerlifting program, you know, so I wanted to get some of those numbers back because I was feeling pretty lacking in my squat, and you know, my deadlift wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. So, and thanks for muscle memory, within, you know, that first month, I was able to jump pretty much back to where I want to be, you know. So it's so much fun to get on Instagram and see where everybody's at, and to you know, be able to challenge myself based on, you know, sometimes other people's accomplishments, or sometimes just see where I'm at, where I've been. I have some old weightlifting books that I like to go back in and see where I was in 2019, see where I was in 2018. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll be like, oh yeah, I was hurt there. You know, that's why this was going on in my life, or that's where this was going on in my life. Sometimes it's almost like a journal where I've written other things that have happened to me in my life. So it's nice to be able to use weightlifting as kind of like a gauge where you're at as well, you know?
Definitely. So we got a series of rapid fire questions we're going to just shoot at you real quick. What do you consider your greatest athletic achievement?
Oh man, I would say probably tearing a deck of cards was probably the most exciting thing for me when I did it. Like, it was something that I was really looking forward to doing and really working hard on. And when I did it, it was very, very exciting. I think so far that would be it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be 6'8" and 400 pounds like we said, so I think I was going to go into fruit and like rip apples and crush walnuts or something, because they look cool. Right.
Yeah, they're just super fun. You know? Like the things that are out of the box and fun. Like I don't have any crazy like, you know, competition style numbers on my lifts, but some of these the Pluto that John Oka made, I had done 13 or 14 pounds on it. I can't remember. That was pretty exciting as well. That thing is so hard to lift. It's crazy hard to lift.
Yeah.
So that's another fun one. But I think the out of the box ones are more fun for me, as far as like milestones, you know.
So what, on the opposite end of that, what is your greatest blunder, blooper, and or injury?
It's either a couple years ago when I first got into the grippers, I felt my hand kind of off. And then I said to myself, oh, I'll just do a couple more reps. And it wasn't even on a hard gripper. I think it was on like a 1 or something, but my hand was not feeling it. And I really hurt one of my flexor tendons in my right hand. And ever since, I have had tons of issues with my right hand. And the second one would probably be last month, where I was basically ready. I was having a great night of bending, and I bent like a G5 nail, And then I bent 1/4 inch, like 6-inch, 1/4 inch square stock. I bent that relatively easy. And I was chatting with Don Cummings, and I've been, getting kind of some critiques from him and stuff. And he was like, hey, just go for the red nail. And I was ready for it. I felt ready for it. I was feeling good. I hit it once, felt a little bend, hit it again. And my whole right hand, the extensors in the back of it, just did this weird popping action. And I have not been the same since. So that might actually be the worst blunder, because I was feeling so ready to go. And I had that other card certification like a couple days away. And I've just been like, I was on a high, and probably at a high point, and especially for my training in the last year, and just somehow destroyed that hand. But through like hot and cold therapy, doing a lot of that, and using it, not heavily, but using it often. I think I'm getting back there. I can tear decks of cards without pain. I've been doing some steel snapping and stuff. So I've been doing like some barehanded, like 3/16 stuff where I'm, bending some. And then the other day I was snapping it barehanded, trying to get my hands strong again. So hopefully I'll be back. We'll see. The worst part about it is I didn't feel like I was pushing it that day, it's like, man, I was so ready to rock. It should have been done. Should have been good, done and over with in the book. So hopefully in the next couple months, I'll be back there.
Definitely. So, what is one of your current major athletic goals?
Currently, it's the red nail. It's that dag blasted red nail, Put me down, I'm coming back. I got a vendetta. I
can give you secrets on the red nail for sure.
Yeah, I know. After that bend, you were saying that's probably the point where I should have definitely kept going. That's the hard spot.
Yeah, absolutely. You're at the point where I was getting stuck, but I think my biggest thing was technique. I was doing it all wrong. And I got a little bit of narrative from Josh Goldthrup, and that made a huge difference for me. Now, I've only done it in double wraps, though. So I admit that I've only done the red and double wraps. So I don't know how it is in single wraps, but I don't know. I haven't had anything really hurt my hand in single wraps at all. Not the square doesn't really give me any pain in single wraps. So I think I could probably do it in single wraps. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to have good technique. That's why I was talking to Don, sending Don some videos and stuff, So I think that either it being at the end of my session, that maybe my hand just was a little off, or maybe those tendons weren't there, maybe they weren't ready for it yet, So maybe I needed that. And this next building session will hopefully get me there. And I just signed up for Don's having the Michigan Steel Benders Championship in May. So I'll go there, and it'll either be I can't compete because I'm weak sauce and I suck, or it'll be I can compete, and hopefully I'm back at that red nail and I'm ready to rock. So either way, it'll be a nice learning experience. I'll get to talk to some elite guys and get some tips and pointers, and I'm looking forward to that for sure.
That's awesome. We're hoping to head down to Texas in October for King Kong.
Nice. Nice.
Hoping to do
go to Adam's spot. That'd be sweet. Yeah. That'd be super sweet, because that group of guys are all really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like crazy. Well,
Isaac too.
Right. Isaac's one of the newer guys to that group, and he just started doing this stuff. He's outrageously strong. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's what we're hoping. We saw that he got an inch, and he was in it in hardly any time. So we have an inch coming in the next couple months, and we're hoping to get that sucker up, pretty quickly. So we'll see.
There you go.
Funny thing is,
that's awesome.
I look at somebody like Isaac, and then you look at somebody like Adam, and it's just like, wait a second, Adam blows Isaac out of the water, and he just looks like a normal dude that just walks around like, yeah, fine, but let me show you what I can do.
Yeah, well, Adam's been doing it for so long, and he just seems to have, like in watching him talk to you guys, he really knows his body and knows how to train so well that he seems to just progress really.
Yeah.
You know, he's always progressing. Whereas I feel like, me personally, I don't know if it's my training style or if I'm that prone to injury or what, but it's like every year I have like a crazy setback of some sort or what, you know, I don't know if it's
I think
my work or what.
On the head about longevity a little bit, because I haven't gotten injured doing any of the bending stuff, and I don't have much of a grip background, except I played with grippers for a long time. You can ask this guy. I was able to close a 2.5 like in my early 20s and never really progressed beyond that, but I could still close a 2.5, you know, in my late 20s and my early 30s, no problem. And I just started getting into bending, and now I'm 36, and I just started getting into bending, and no problems with wrist pain, no problems with hand pain, and I think it's because I played with those for a long time.
Probably. I mean, that makes sense, getting that tendon thickness in your early 20s, you know, I mean, it's not like your tendons are going to shrink over time. You know, they're going to retain that. So that makes sense, getting into it like that. And for me, I've always had an issue with grippers and you know, especially after that first time of hurting my my flexor tendon in my index finger. Since then, I'm like touch and go. Now my left hand is great all the time, and I'm left-handed. Maybe that's why, you know, that more use throughout my life. My right hand and really my right arm in general gets hurt arm wrestling. My right hand has always had. I in high school I was doing dumbbell bench press. I swung them to the floor, and somebody had left a dumbbell on the floor before me. So I smashed off the tip of my index finger. You know, just I've had a lot of issues like that, you know, with my right arm or my right hand, and that was nasty. That was awful.
Yeah,
I got like a weird looking. This one's kind of weird.
Yeah, that might
kind of
be the greatest blunder there.
We got it back together, you know, but it was real nasty. Plus, it was me and a bunch of younger kids in the gym. So there, you know, I lifted up my hand and it's my fingers dangling off with the bone sticking out, and no one wanted to give me a ride to the hospital.
What the hell?
Everybody's like, "All right, where's your car keys?" And I was like, "Here's the deal, guys. I have no gas in my car. We're going to have to stop at the gas station. If we go in my car, I need somebody to take me to the hospital now."
My finger's not on.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm like a calm guy when I get hurt. I usually I'm like mad about it. You know, like I'm just frustrated that I got hurt. I don't like go into shock or freak out or anything. So at the time I just kind of held my finger under that nice brown paper towel that's in the, you know, school bathrooms and stuff. And
oh yeah.
Got taken to the hospital and sewed back together.
So I guess I'll have to train my left hand then if we come out and arm wrestle. So it could be, you know, fun to
yeah.
Especially your strong
right.
too.
That's what I always do. Like if I win right-handed or lose right-handed, I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm left-handed. Oh yeah, I probably would have beat you lefty, but
So what are some lifestyle habits you subscribe to that benefit the average person trying to get healthy and fit?
Some what kind of habits?
Lifestyle habits. Yeah.
I think routine is a great thing. You know, so trying to have a routine as best as possible, wake up at a similar time, go to bed at a similar time, you know, try to eat at a similar time or eat when you're hungry. I know for a lot of people that intuitive eating isn't super intelligent way to go. For me, it tends to work because if I'm working, I'm not really hungry, you know? So, you know, usually I'm just rocking, and then by the end of it, I'm like, okay, time to eat. So I think routine is a great thing. Trying to make that time that you're going to go work out a similar time and doing it whether you want to or not. I mean, that tends to be the thing that holds people back. Is I think they think that people that work out or that, you know, lift or whatever, I think they think that they always want to do it and they're always ready and rearing to go no matter what. And, you know, they've got to realize that no, sometimes you just do it because you have to. You know, you got to sometimes on those crappy days where you're feeling awful and you don't want to do it, you get into the weight room and you have a great day in the weight room, and now your day is going 5 times better than it was before. Absolutely. So I think that's really beneficial, is to do it whether you want to or not. Now, obviously, you got to feel how you're feeling, and some days you might take an extra day, but make sure that you make up that same day the next. You know, I think that's very important. And another thing that we already talked about is get your family involved, get your kids involved, get your friends involved. You know, the more you can make it a group effort, the more you're going to want to do it. You know, I think that's really important. And if your kids are involved with, you know, it's all the stuff we talked about earlier, where they're going to have that much more trust in you, that much more faith in you. You're spending more time with them. You know, you're kind of shedding layers as you're working out. You know, you break yourself down a little bit more, to me, and, you know, you show maybe a little bit more of yourself, or maybe a little bit more of your emotion, or whatever. You know, you're giving yourself a little bit more, you know. So if you can be on that level with your kids or your family and friends, I think that's another way to bond, you know, and another way to, you know, be there for each other, to be cheering each other on. You know, I know some people are, you know, shy about that kind of stuff, but I think even the shy people, you know, if you're doing a lap around the track and you have somebody cheering you on, you know, saying, "Go, sweetie," or "Go, whatever," it's going to make you go a little bit faster, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. Like what you said earlier.
So I think that's another important thing, is involving your
family. Yeah, I think that's huge. And this guy's involved his kids all the time. And what Corey's now getting into it. Our sister's fiance is getting into it now, and it's just freaking awesome. Yeah, getting everybody involved. You said, you know, that not everybody loves working out, but you got to do it. And it reminds me of the whole Muhammad Ali quote: "Suffer now and be a champion forever." And you know, exactly like, if you suffer now, once you bend that red nail, you're a red nail bender forever, man. You know. That's
right.
Exactly. Close that number 3. I'm a number 3 closer forever. So yeah,
that's the thing. That's the great thing about it, is once you've done it, you've done it. No one can take it away from you. You know, and it's all about that journey to get there. You know, it's the, you know, how hard you worked in the blood, sweat, and tears. Only, you know, sometimes your training partner knows what it took, but you definitely know what it took to get there, and it means all that much, you know, when you've done it. So I think it's all about the journey. The journey is what makes anything good anyway, right? It's the anticipation. Sometimes the things that we talk about the most were the hardest things that we did, that, like, really at the time we thought were terrible, you know, but then you look back on it and you're like, oh man, that was so hard when we did that, and blah, blah, blah. That's the moment you talk about the most, you know. It's the adversity that makes the win worthwhile. You know, if everything's just easy and handed to you all the time, you're never going to appreciate anything, you know. So it's going through the adversity of this stuff, you know, and when you're talking about this kind of stuff, like tearing a deck of cards or grip or bending steel, it's literally putting your mind away from the intense pain a lot of times that these things cause, you know, and putting yourself in another place and knowing that on the other end you're going to be okay, you know, that this isn't going to, even if you hurt your, you know, tendons or tear a muscle or break a bone or whatever, you're still going to be alive on the other end. But if you achieve it, you know, you're going to be that much cooler in your own eyes, or in whoever's eyes, you know, whatever your goal may be. You know, I think it's I think that the adversity or the journey of it's just as important as the goal itself.
Yeah,
for sure.
Completely. Especially the whole pain tolerance stuff. It's a really good point because we mentioned earlier that in grip we get to see people's character a little more. There's not like a specific mentality for grip or mentality for strongman. You see all kinds of different characters in strongman, all kinds of different characters in grip. Whereas in other power sports, there might be like a specific mentality involved. And I think that you see, you definitely see different methods of overcoming adversity in grip and strongman. So speaking of that, speaking of like alternative techniques, what kind of weird techniques or training, like alternative methods of training, have you used that have significantly helped your performance?
I would say sandbag training, big time.
Okay.
So kegs and sandbags. As far as like those kind of unorthodox lifts,
that's one thing we don't have a big sandbag. We've been thinking about that.
They're awesome. Do it like at least like.
And the whole thing about rock,
like 100 pounds.
You get a little uncomfortable training like crazy with them because they're a rock.
Right. The sandbag isn't so pokey, like it's got the same kind of unorthodox lift as the rock, and I love stones for that reason. But that's where kegs and sandbags, you're not necessarily gonna poke yourself or hurt yourself like you might with a stone. And I love stones. I love stones. They're on the same level to me. But I love having some big sandbags. I use like the 50-pound bags for grain. I double and triple those up and put around 100 or so pounds of sand in those. I bought a crazy big sandbag that I've got 250 pounds in.
Nice.
And I'll do almost like Atlas stone lifts onto. I have some big whiskey barrels that I keep in my brewing room, or not in my brewing room, in my gym, and I lift them onto that. Nice. So that kind of stuff I find to be so beneficial. Doing clean and jerks with 100 pounds of sand, or 100-pound to 140-pound keg is so hard, especially like a keg, because the water's shifting to one side, so you almost want to hold it. You want to hold it at an angle. Those kind of things I think have really benefited me. It's got that same kind of concept of I love kettlebells too, as far as being like a little bit unorthodox as well. Something that you can do multiple things with. Those kind of like desert island. Like what would I want on a desert island? I could just get a nylon bag and throw some sand in it and do whatever. And you could do incremental training with it if you want, go from 40 pounds to 100, so on and so forth. You can do curls with them. You can do all kinds of stuff. Actually, part of my program that I started in January, it's a powerlifting program, but it also includes sandbag, barrel, and some body weight training. So when I get bored with some of those lifts, I just throw in some type of, I'll do like AMRAP, 100-pound sandbag clean and jerks, and just do one set of them, and do it at the end of the workout till I'm about ready to cry, and so it's that kind of thing. That's just beneficial, you do it till your breath stings, until your heart's pounding out of your chest, and then hey, I'm ready to go in, so I think
ice bath or something.
right, exactly. Go for like a nice cold shower. I got well water, man. That shower is cold. Let me tell you. So I do the Wim Hof method.
I gotta ask, do you farmers carry pinch grip style grain bags just for the hell of it? When you got to move them like 100 feet, you just grab like two different grain bags
every now and again,
and then just carry it to wherever it needs to go, like 55-pound farmer's walk with a pinch grip.
I've definitely done some of that kind of stuff. I'll pinch them and throw them, either two at a time, or I love to make that stuff into a workout, so it's definitely something I've done before. They're not easy to carry like that. that hurts your fingertips bad. And after you carry a ton of them, your hands start getting kind of tired. So they start kind of peeling your nails back. If you really start, lifting, and moving them, they start to peel your nails back a little bit after so long. But I like it. I think they're fun. I think they're fun to play with, and to just be able to show somebody, that 50 pounds is one thing, 100 is another, but putting that over your head can be a pretty good feat.
Yeah.
As well. It's like the cement bags. I was talking to another guy on here. I think what's his name? His name's Paul Mcalpine. He's an English guy. His name's Just Your Average Gripster or something like that on Instagram. I always chat back and forth with him, and he was talking about how tradesmen in England, have different challenges of lifting these different bags of cement and stuff over their head, both two-handed and one-handed. Because we were talking about the other day, I posted I had to get this keg on top of two other stacks of kegs, so I was building keg castles. Nice. And it was getting a full keg up that high over your head is not super easy. So we were having a chat about that, and I thought it was cool that other tradesmen have similar kind of things that they're doing. I just do it on my own by myself, but very cool that other tradesmen are having those kind of competitions and stuff with each other.
Yeah, I work at a soda syrup plant right now, and you'll have to grab like a 2.5 gallon or 5 gallon bag of syrup in a box, and somebody will ask for it, and I'll grab it the weirdest way, one-handed, and it's just like a 2.5 gallon box, and just hand it to them, and they just grab it and kind of look at you like, what the hell did you just do? Oh, here, just take it. We got a pop machine at the brewery, so I carry those big boxes of syrup downstairs, man. Those are big boxes. Yeah.
That's a strong grip.
So I do the 2.5 ones, so they're like 26 pounds, but you just hand it to them some weird way.
Still.
Weird with the big ones, and they're like, what the hell?
So that would,
well, they know how heavy it is.
Movement, for sure. So I like what you said about the awkward, like liquid filled and dynamic stuff. We were just talking about pinching syrup, so I wanted to comment on that. A lot of those lifts, what they really do for you is they check your ego, and they make sure that you lift an amount that's really not going to injure you. And I think that's huge. You said earlier you have these powerlifting goals of certain numbers. Like I have a goal of I only want to deadlift 500 pounds. If I ever get to that, I'm just going to rep 500 pounds. And the same thing with like squats, I have a certain goal I'm going to do, and bench. And I think if you set realistic goals and you don't, if you're not competing, why do you need to lift an absurd weight, first of all? And those goals basically will keep you, set on continuing to lift and continuing to progress without fear of a huge injury. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just maintain. I mean, that's still a great, get to those lifts where you want to be. Like I'm kind of the same way. I don't have that spotter, so for me, I'll throw, as long as I can rep like, two plates on the bench, I'm pretty good with that. I don't need to, if I can do 225 for a few reps and feel comfortable, and still have the safeties up on my power rack, so I'm not killing myself while my son's in here, that to me is a great maintenance weight, where I know I'm at a level where I'm still fairly strong. I'm still able to do, all my grip stuff and whatever. And like you said, if I'm never going to be a world strongest man or a world champion power lifter, why am I going to risk myself hurting myself? And then you're going to probably keep yourself out of the grip stuff that you really love, So to me, if I'm going to hurt myself, it's going to be doing like a red nail bend or a, crazy card tear or something like that. That is my actual certification goal or something like that. To me, it makes a little more sense and it's a little more tangible than within like a power lift or something like that, and especially with these odd implements, because with a keg or something like that, I mean, that you don't want to drop that on yourself. You're going to have a bad time. You're definitely going to have a bad time. So it
I was
does make you
shocked to
train
see,
in a way that
Atlas stone pressing this year in the strongman competitions. I was shocked to see them pressing Atlas stones above their head. I was like, why are they doing this?
yeah,
For some reason, that just reminded me when you,
I'm good on it. I don't
that.
you just reminded me when you said you're gonna have a bad time. It's like if you French fry instead of pizza, you're gonna have a bad time.
you're gonna have a bad time.
That's
It's
right.
an Aspen episode of South Park, man.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Hey man, you got some shit over there. You got some shit on you, man. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's like my probably like top 10 South Park episodes.
I think one of my favorite is you got about tree fitting.
Yeah, 350.
Got about tree fitting.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Loch Ness Monster, man.
You know, Girl Scout, that's the Loch Ness Monster.
Damn Loch Ness Monster.
Woman, I told you not to give that damn Loch Ness Monster a tree fitting. He's gonna come back every day now.
It's gonna be hilarious. Anybody that listens to this and has no idea what we're referring to this whole minute of this. Just us talking about 350 and the Loch Ness Monster.
That's right.
350.
Love it.
But
I told him.
going back to the lifting, you know, not at absurd numbers. You know, I've always had a goal. It's an ultimate goal of being able to overall lift 1,500 pounds. But I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to bench 500. So, you know, I'll go for it. You know, keep working towards it. So
Right.
1405 would be awesome because then I could do 405 on the bench. And that's been a huge goal of mine. But I know like I'll be able to deadlift 5
Right.
and squat 5, but that bench, I'm not going to go up to 600 to get the 15 overall. I got to get it by doing all 500 pounds.
That's a big bench.
Yeah.
That's something else. Whew.
So that's my ultimate goal.
You can get it.
I know in the next year
You
I'll
can
probably
get
be
it.
able to get
I see you
405, and then I'll just keep going from there.
Be a neat experiment to see if a guy that never deadlifts more than 500 or squats more than 500 can also work up to a 500 bench. It's kind of a neat experiment.
Yeah. Because my strength.
That would be super cool to see. Like 555 for the.
I'll go for it.
That's a cool experiment.
I think in a year I should be able to do 405 on
Do
bench.
it.
So we'll go from there.
He is pretty good on bench. He did over 350 at 17 in high school at a body weight of 170 pounds.
Wow. You got a really stocky upper body, you know. You look like you can put up some weight for sure. For sure. Both
Definitely
like
go
you can
for
put
it.
up some.
So if you could start your training all over again with the knowledge you have today, what would you change?
I would have done grip stuff a long time ago, especially for like my high school football training. I think the grip stuff. I was a pulling offensive guard. And I always had a big squat in high school. But I just think, you know, as far as like grabbing somebody by the numbers, having your hands in there and being able to move them where you want to go. And, you know, I mean, yeah, the pulling and pushing is always paramount to that. And that's something they really push in high school athletics. But the grip would, and leverage stuff. I mean, all of that. I think that would really, really elevate high school athletes. The bigger, faster, stronger programs that they really push now are great. I really like that 5x5 training style and all that stuff and using the big three. But I think if they interjected some of this awesome grip training stuff, whether it be like just the Bruce Lee style, you know, grip closing machine or, you know, getting grippers into high schools, getting even just sledgehammers and stuff in there, or fat grip implements. I think doing that kind of stuff would elevate athletes and give them that base for the future, you know? So I think that, you know, because I didn't do it in my 20s, you know, for the last 6 or so years, I've really been playing catch up again, you know, and yeah, I have that base from high school for some of the powerlifting stuff, but I think having that grip base. When you see people who have done grappling sports or who have done farming or things like that, when they do regular power sports, they tend to be elevated right away.
Yeah.
You know, so I think having the grip background as a younger person, I'd be a lot better off now, especially because that's what I like to do now. You know, obviously if I would have done it as a kid, I'd be at a higher level, but yeah, I think that for anybody, you know, having that grip involved, and really, like they say, longevity wise, you know, the first thing to go can be your grip, and your grip and your hands and your hand strength is a great indicator of how long you're going to last. I mean, if you can't wipe your ass, how long are you going to live, you know? So it's, I think, you know, I think this is great. We're, you know, hopefully this grip community, we're all going to live to be, you know, 100 years old, and we'll be all grabbing little punks by their shirts.
And also,
and they won't be able to get away, you know?
When you're talking about football and being an offensive lineman, you'll intimidate the hell out of a defensive lineman when you lock into him and he can't go anywhere. If you have that just punishing
exactly.
You'll get in their head right away.
Without like exactly having those hands inside, you know, I mean, and really being able to move a guy wherever you want. I think that's that's where you're really going to have that intimidation factor right away, you know, and that is when you're an offensive lineman, one of the funnest things to do is tell somebody where the ball's going, especially the defensive lineman. Hey, it's coming to you, buddy. Yeah. And you better defend it, or you know, what are you going to do? You know, one of the things I miss the most.
I play defensive end and middle linebacker, and as a defensive end, I always ask them, you want me to go outside or inside to sack your quarterback? You know? You want me to come outside or inside? What do you prefer? So I'm coming through you either way.
Yeah, I got a good swim move, and my hook's not bad either. So whatever you want, right?
Yeah,
I like that.
I had a quick, hard punch and a good spin move, so I'm coming one way or the other. You're not gonna like it. Like I'm gonna knock you off balance, and then I'm gonna ask you before you even.
I love the punch was always my favorite move on the inside, coming up into those solar plexus when I came off the line. Get those big guys right in the gut. That like the nose tackle or the defensive tackle right there. They do not like that when you're socking them in the gut all game.
Oh, and I'll take the penalty too, because shit, it's only one play, but you're gonna think about it the rest of the game, all 4 quarters. You're gonna be like, that shit hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss those days, man. The only thing I really did in my 20s was play like summer men's softball league, you know? So, I mean, we had fun doing it, but it wasn't as enjoyable as some of those high school athletics, you know, the more intense stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I like this grip, you know, it's a lot more elevated intensity wise.
Absolutely.
Not able to drink beer in the dugout.
What going back to your whole island gym equipment theory, what would you consider your most important piece of your home gym and why?
Oh man, I would say it's probably my kettlebells, just because if like the apocalypse happened or something, that's what I would grab. I'd probably grab a 35-pound kettlebell and get the hell out of here, you know, or I'd probably hunker down and still have all this stuff. But if I had to get out of here, I would grab the 35-pound kettlebell. And there's such a, you know, for one thing, it's ballistic strength training. So, you know, if you're trying to be, you know, elevated as far as like defending yourself, I think it's one of the best things to use. You know, you're getting that dynamic strength. You're getting your cardio in at the same time, you know, depending on what you're doing swing wise. And I just really, I like them for different applications too, like whether you know, you can use them for farmers walks, you know, farmers carries. If you got 2 of them, you can use them for duck walks if you got giant ones. So I really, really love the kettlebell. I think otherwise, you know, you could say like the power rack, but what's the power rack by itself, you know? So to me, it's got to be like either like your barbell or your kettlebell or something like that. And I think it'd be something like that, like probably probably hands down the kettlebell. I think that's always my desert island fitness equipment choice. You know, it's what would you want if you were alone? You couldn't have anything else. You could only have one thing. I think the 35-pound kettlebell with Enter the Kettlebell by Pavel is what I need.
Yeah.
What I want.
So what, any other advice do you have for the average person trying to get fit and healthy?
I think the best advice is most of what we've already talked about is just, you know, making sure that you're trying to do things on a routine as best as possible. Get it in whenever you can. So if you can, during that lunch break, take a 10-minute walk. So then you're ready for, you know, maybe getting something in after work. Or if you can't get it in after work because you're too busy there, wake up in the morning and, you know, turn on one of the 5,000 Amazon Prime, workout videos that are on there. There's yoga, you can go on YouTube and there's hundreds of tutorials as far as, you know, yoga, kettlebells, body weight exercises. I think even the convict conditioning have videos on a lot of these things, you know, so there's a good body weight exercise program. And it's just getting it in when you have time or forcibly making the time and trying to do it for at least 4 times a week, I think is the most beneficial thing for people. You know, when you go to the doctor for 95% of the things that are going to be wrong with you, they're going to ask you 2 questions. What's your diet like? And what's your exercise like? Wow. And that's half of that's most of the time the best fix for any of that, you know, for a lot of the issues we have in this day and age with depression and things like that. And especially with the COVID-19 thing, you know, all this nonsense going on, you know, we gotta figure out and say, hey, all right, if you're not allowed to do these things, what things can you do? And let's do those things to make yourself better when you have the time, you know? So that's why I found, you know, those 2 months where we were closed last year, super beneficial, because I had all that opportunity with my wife and son to go for walks, to get that exercise in, you know, and you just got to make sure that you do it, whether you want to or not. Exactly. I think that's the best advice to give. Make sure you do it.
So what brew are you drinking right now? What do you recommend?
The resources are. What beer am I drinking and what do you recommend? Oh, yeah. Man. I actually just got a new can seamer at my brewery. So we've been canning our beer. It's super fun canning small batches. I would say I've been drinking a lot of cider recently. Okay. I've been digging some really good dry ciders. I would say though, as far as like the best beers to drink, sours are really, really good. I love Belgian sour ales. There's a beer called Hudenbond that is like my all-time favorite sour. It comes in a champagne bottle. Rodenbach Grand Cru is really good in that regards. And then all of these awesome like hazy IPAs that have been coming out are through the roof. Really good.
I tried a couple of those.
So I've been getting down on a lot of those.
So
Michigan's got one. Old Nation is doing. What's that?
I said I like stouts and porters. I want that thing to be as dark as night. So besides yours that I'm sure you brew up,
yeah.
What do you say is the best porter or stout that's, you know, chocolatey or coffee or anything like that?
Oh man, I just got a bunch of bottles of Old Rasputin barrel aged, and I'd have to say that that's one of the best as far as it's an imperial stout. Okay. And it is just so good. And I got a couple bottles. I got one that's in a bourbon barrel and one that's in a rye whiskey barrel. So I'm anxious to crack those open because I like that base beer a lot. And Old Rasputin's really good. Even Commodore by Ballast Point is one of my favorite stouts. That's a really good beer. And I think they're distributing that pretty much everywhere now. So that's a good one to try as well. I love stouts and porters too. I do one called Maple Bacon Porter, and it's got it's so good. It's got pre-cooked bacon in the secondary fermentation, so you get all that smokiness out of it.
Yeah.
And then I add a gallon of actual Michigan maple syrup, so pure maple syrup, and it's not overwhelmingly sweet, it's not overwhelmingly smoky, but those flavors go super well with that kind of chocolatey, thick porter.
Sounds good.
Through the roof. But yeah, those are all beers that I really enjoy, you know. But it's funny because like I said earlier, I've been drinking a lot of cider. You know, I try all my beers so often. You know, I'm in the brewery in the morning, trying beers, making sure they're ready. You know, every time I check the gravity on a beer, see how close it is to being done. I'm trying it, you know, so it's kind of nice to just get out of the box. And the ciders tend to be like dry, you know, so it's not so sweet. It's not so cloying. And now, like, getting into my 30s, I can't even drink anymore. Like, I'll drink like 3 beers and I'm like hungover the next day. So I'm like taking it easy nowadays. You know, I'm like, all right, I'll sip, you know, a little bit of that whiskey out and be good. You know, I don't want to overdo it or anything.
I feel like if I'm going to do that, I got to do it on a Tuesday, which is terrible for your work week. But I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off of working out, and I can't sacrifice my workout. But, you know, so shit, can't drink on Tuesday because it sucks, but I need to work out on the weekends.
Yeah, I'd rather kill my work day than kill my workout. For
Exactly,
sure.
me too.
For sure. Plus, my work, it's just based on me, you know. So if I'm dragging ass in there, like, what am I yelling at myself, you know? Like, I'm like, hey, come on, you got to be picking it up here, buddy. You know, it's just me disparaging myself.
Looking in the mirror, why aren't you making me more money? I need productivity out of you.
That should be what I'm saying to myself every day anyway. Make yourself more money. Come on. You got a kid to feed.
Right.
So, before we let you go, is there any questions you have for us, Couch Potato Strong?
I don't know, guys. All I got to say to you guys is just keep up the good work. I love the content you're putting out. I love that I got something to listen to at least a couple times a week in the brewing room. You know, with Joe Rogan going to Spotify, I'm not following his ass over there, so I got to watch something or listen to something. So I love what you guys are doing. I love the content that you're creating, and it gives me something great to listen to. And especially, you know, I look forward to the guys like Clay coming up, and in the past, you know, Derek and Adam and all these guys who are, Don included, who have so much information and so much knowledge. It's just so useful to all of us, you know, the kind of, and you guys set up really good questions to ask. So I appreciate it. Keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited for the Clay interview coming up too, and he has a long history in the sport.
Right. I just love hearing these guys, and whether it be their training philosophies or just even their personal philosophies. I find that interesting. I enjoy listening to it. It tends to be like-minded individuals, you know. So, you know, it's plus it brings, you know, another connection with the sport. You know, like, we're all pretty accessible. You know, especially those type of guys are pretty darn accessible when it comes to this sport. You know, other sports, you know, you can't just, you know, go on Instagram and chat it up with your favorite NBA or NFL guy, you know, but a lot of these guys, you can hit them up, DM them, and they'll. Yeah, it's so awesome, you know. So I think that's one of the best things too, is that, you know, it gives us that connection, you know, and we get to listen to them on another level, other than just going back on Gripboard and reading some old forums or whatever. You know, we actually get that one-on-one conversation, questions that we would potentially ask them, you know. So I really appreciate that. I like it.
Awesome.
Good job.
We appreciate you having me on, and we look forward to seeing what you do with the golden potato.
For sure, man. I'm excited. I'll have to. You guys are sending that my way. I gotta send you a couple of Dead Bear shirts out there. So I'll hit me up in the DM. We'll figure out your guys' shirt sizes so you guys can start repping that the Dead Bear Brewing out there.
Awesome. You also mentioned something about a rubber card tearing apparatus.
Yes. I'm glad you didn't let me forget about that. I cut up a bunch of pieces of rubber that are card tearing, card size. So I'll send you guys some of those too. Those are great.
I would love to try that.
Especially
those are fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah.
They really emulate
Jedley just
exactly what you're doing wise. And
we saw Robert Jedley make a
Grab Hold is selling
rubber ones, and he can shred cards pretty well. So
yeah. Dennis Rogers used to sell them a while ago. He called them like the dirty or something. Dennis Rogers.
Exactly.
That's where I learned about him.
Is it Dennis Rogers? Okay, cool. Yeah, anything that guy.
So when I built my I think anything he does, I would emulate as far as being strong, period. So that's something I had extra rubber after building a deadlift platform and was like, hey, I'm cutting some of these up for myself.
Awesome.
And now Anton at Grab Hold is doing the same thing. He's selling some of those now too.
Cool.
So
we're looking forward to it. Right on.
But yeah, I'm glad you reminded me about that, because I'll definitely send you guys one of those or two of them or whatever, however many you guys want.
I also can't wait to rep the Dead Bear here in Portland, especially because there's so many breweries around here, but no one will know what the heck Dead Bear is. And I'm like, well, it's better than here. So,
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. It's a cool logo too. You'll look extra cool wearing it. So
awesome. All right, well, cool.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
All right, take care.
Take care.